firing line with William F. Buckley, Jr. Tonight's guest, Murray Kempton. Our topic, Bobby Kennedy and other mixed blessings.
Murray Kempton is the finest writer in the newspaper profession. Mostly he is known in New York, which is to New York's credit, though his columns, which are widely considered the highest exhibit of the craft, have been published here and there in major metropolitan centers. And he has served as an editor of the New Republic and continues to write for that discontented journal, as also for the Spectator in London. Mr. Kempton's specialties are wit and irony and a compassion which is sometimes unruly. His specialty is not, in this critic's opinion, logic. You could take him up to the peak of a syllogism, shove him gently down its slope, and before your eyes he will loop the loop. His enemy is Euclid, and Euclid has never been so insecure. I suppose I should mention that Mr. Kempton is an inscribed socialist, sworn enemy of all anti-communist legislation, sworn friend of militant unionism of every sort and variety. But he is, much to his regret, I once heard him say, nobody's enemy, especially not these days, the enemy of Robert Kennedy, whom he recently put in a class with Charles James Fox and Robert Taft, as, quotes, among the very few great figures whose mark was made as a lifetime leader of the opposition. He doubts, in other words, that Mr. Kennedy will become president. With that consoling prediction, I introduce Mr. Kempton.
Well, thank you very much. Of course, I don't know whether the alternatives are any better to my fallen and departed hero, now that I think of it. Gee, you have a new technique now. I understood that you used to destroy your guests. What you do is just overrate them profoundly and let them destroy themselves in the next hour on the basis of this performance. Anyway, it's delightful to see you, as always. And do you have any questions?
Well, you wrote something recently about Senator Kennedy that interested me. You said there seems to be something that Robert Kennedy conveys to the feeling that is quite beyond what he speaks to the ear. A good deal of this is the identification with his brother, but he is very different from his brother, being at once more radical and more conventional. What did you mean by that?
I think I meant to say that his brother had, when I say that he is more conventional than his brother, I was attempting to say that certain old-fashioned values, which we all take seriously, if only in the breach, meant more to them than they did to his brother. He is, in a strange sort of way, less detached about human actions, more apt to respond directly and vigorously to what he thinks of as bad individual conduct than his brother was. On the other hand, he lacks his brother's real appreciation for people who were a little older than he was and a little more stable and a little more serious. He is, it seems to me that his radicalism is a total hang-up on the young. In other words, anybody who is, let's say, 18 or 19 can do almost anything and have a point. And what his brother would have regarded as nonsense in conduct, he refuses to regard as nonsense as long as it isn't done by somebody who is older than 25 years of age. And for that reason, I think that he is more conventional in terms of the ancient moralities than his brother was, and more radical than his brother was in his response to new adventures and activity. If you show him a picket line, he has an automatic response.
The scene is set for this evening's discussion. We'll continue in just a moment.